Welcome to your first pre-programmed problem. In this first problem, we will record basic transactions using the fundamental accounting equation, which you learned about at the beginning of Accounting 100. To begin the problem, open the Canvas Learning Management System and find the directions and download the Excel file. In the Canvas course module, you should be in the completing the pre-programmed problems section. You should have read about completing these pre-programmed templates, and you should now be in the problem P1 module. So within the module, you will see the directions, which are here. If I were you, I would download the file and print it out, but you don't have to print. You can continue to read. And then secondly, you need to download this Excel file onto either your hard drive or your USB drive. You can open it by clicking on it, or I'm going to right-click on it and save it to a flash drive or to your hard drive. I'll give you a second to do that. As you will note, the objectives of this problem are to show how financial position is affected by business transactions, to prepare 3 basic sole proprietor financial statements. We'll be back solving for cash balances. We will learn to alter the worksheet to accommodate additional transactions. And of course, as with every problem, you'll be creating a chart. So just in case you've forgotten the basics, we learned in Accounting 100 about the fundamental accounting equation, and here you see a cartoon depicting it, and it says that assets equals liabilities plus equity. We call this the fundamental accounting equation because it is the basic equation that drives everything we do in accounting. So let's break it down a little bit more. Assets are things of value, or property owned by a business, and these assets are recorded at cost. So look around you for a moment, take heed of what you see. You may have a textbook, that's something of value. You may have come to school today in a car, that's something of value. You may have some jewelry on, that's something of value. So assets are things of value or property owned by a business. Liabilities are amounts that we owe. We could owe them to all different kinds of people, but we call those people creditors. Liabilities is synonymous with debt or loans. And finally, the last portion of the basic fundamental accounting equation is owner's equity. And owner's equity is what the owner has left over after all the creditors paid. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as net worth. The fundamental accounting equation always has to be in balance and shows the relationship between assets and liabilities plus owner's equity. In accounting terms, the firm's assets must equal the total of its liabilities and equity at all times. The equality can be expressed in equation form, and everything we do in accounting can fall under one of these categories. And as with any equation, if you know 2 parts, the third part can always be determined. And finally, those 3 components are shown on a financial statement called the balance sheet. And the reason we call it a balance sheet is because, like a teeter-totter, the assets on the left always have to equal the sum of the liabilities and owner's equity on the right. I hope you remember the concept of the equity umbrella. The equity umbrella can be expanded to include revenues, expenses, and capital. Revenues are monies generated by a firm for selling the goods or services. Revenues make the equity umbrella go up. Expenses are amounts needed to support the revenues, And when the business pays expenses, the equity umbrella goes down. And finally, we have under the equity umbrella the components of capital, which are amounts invested by the owner, and drawing, which are amounts taken out by the owner for personal use. As a general reminder, I do keep a web page for all my traditional accounting courses, and on that web page at www.cerritos.edu/dljohnson, you can go to the course materials page, which is down a ways here. And if you've forgotten or need to brush up on any accounting concepts, chances are you can find it in the Accounting 100 tab. And for example, right now we're talking about basic business transactions. And so I have handouts on my website of all the different things that we talked about in Accounting 100. So if you are a little rusty, don't hesitate to go here. And like I said, this will just kind of reinforce what you should already know. Here's the equity umbrella that we just talked about. So I just wanted you to know that those handouts are there to support you as we go along. So as we get more into the problem, these are the directions and these are the things that I will ask you to do. We're going to recap them here and then we'll go through them step by step. So we're going to record basic transactions using this basic accounting equation. We'll learn to record some adjustments. We'll be answering some what-if scenarios or questions. We'll even prepare a set of financial statements. And as always, with every problem, we'll be preparing a chart. After that, you will submit your file by uploading it through Canvas. And finally, the last requirement on this problem will be to post to the discussion board. So open up the Excel file that you downloaded and we'll begin working with that. On the screen, you'll see the Excel file that I've downloaded from Canvas. You should have the exact same screen on your end, and you should have opened it up inside Excel 2016. And by the way, I sent you guys an email. All of you now have free access to the Microsoft Office Suite, which is a great improvement over prior years. Students used to have to purchase the software, and now I'm very thankful to report that the campus has made it available to you. So go ahead and open the file and let's get started. It says, on October 1st of the current year, Mrs. Ima Genius opened up a tutoring business called Genius in Process, a sole proprietorship located in Southern California. The business had the following transactions occur during the first month. You'll see that transaction A has been recorded for you. The transaction says, opened a business checking account in the name of the business and deposited $25,000. Okay, so take a look at that accounting equation, and I want you to note that we are keeping the books for the business, not the owner, but the business itself. And so from the business perspective, its cash account went up by $25,000, and on the right hand side of the equation, the capital went up. The capital account is used when the owner invests money. And also remember that we will be running revenue and expense transactions through the capital account. Revenues will make the owner's equity umbrella go up, and owner withdrawals and expenses will make the owner's capital account go down. We are not using debits and credits in this problem. I want to make that very clear. Instead, we're focusing on the fundamental accounting equation and asking ourselves whether the elements of the equation were affected, and if they were, whether the accounts were increased or decreased. Okay, let's do a few more. Transaction B says, paid $2,000 to the landlord for rent for October, which is the current month. So what happens when we pay the rent is our cash goes down, so I'm going to enter minus $2,000. And what else would happen? Well, normally that would be considered an outflow of cash in the form of a rent expense. And since we don't see revenues and expenses listed in the basic transaction, we're going to run those through the equity umbrella. Revenues will make the equity account go up, and in this case, expenses will make it go down, minus 2,000. By the way, I know what's coming and you don't. You'll be asked to do a set of financial statements. So if I were you, I would go ahead and keep a little notation in a column someplace of what's happening with each one of these. That'll make the preparation of the financial statements easier. So for example, maybe I can go to letter K, and in this transaction, I'm just going to put a short description, maybe something like initial investment, and you can make the column as wide as you need. And in this one, maybe I paid the rent. Just a little notation to remind yourself what happened so that when you do the financial statements, you won't have to continue going back and forth, back and forth. Let's do one more. Letter C says, purchased equipment to be used in the business for $15,000, paid 20% down, and the rest on account to be paid 30 days later. Okay, think of what's happening with the basic accounting equation. I'm going to come over to the equipment account, and that went up by $15,000. And how did I pay for it? I paid a partial amount in cash and the remainder on account. So 20% of $15,000 would be $3,000 down for cash. So then how much would we owe our creditors? If we bought equipment for $15,000 and we gave them cash of $3,000, then that means my debt just went up by the remainder of $12,000. Remember, this is an equation. I'm going to put a little dividing line here just to reinforce the concept that the left-hand side has to equal the right-hand side every single time. So on the left for transaction C, we have a net of $12,000, and on the right, we have a net of $12,000. You're going to continue recording the transactions, and we should also put these formulas in at the bottom. That'll allow the computer to keep track of each category. So as you recall from reading the lessons in your book, one way to do a formula is to type in equals sum, open the parentheses, and I'm going to highlight from the top to the bottom, and I'll press enter. And you could type in that same formula 7 different times, or you could use the fill handle. So select the cell. In this case, I'm selecting cell B13, it looks like. My cell selector is going to move from a fat cross to a skinny cross. That's called the fill handle. I'm going to grab it and drag it all the way across. And after every transaction, you want to make sure that the difference is 0. That means that the left-hand side, the assets, equal the total liabilities of the right-hand side of the liabilities in equity. So check that equality after each and every transaction. You'll notice that in all the problems I give you check figures so that you can check your work. When you get to the requirement that asks you to prepare a set of financial statements, you'll want to refresh your memory on how to do that as well. Remember that there are 3 financial statements and they're prepared in order. And those 3 financial statements are an income statement, a statement of owner's equity, and a balance sheet. Again, if you need to review those, feel free to go to my regular website and look at the handouts or pull out an old accounting book. The first statement that you're going to create is an income statement. I want you to think for a second. When you're preparing the income statement, there's only one column that you should be looking at. Any idea what that is? Think for a second. Do you remember where we ran the revenues and expenses through? it was this capital account. So as you do the income statement, after you finish the template, you're going to be looking for revenues and expenses, and those are run through this capital account. So far, we don't have any revenues yet. The company hasn't generated any revenues, but we do have one expense here. We have a rent expense of $2,000. After you have finished the problem, make sure that you've done all the requirements. At the end of the handout is a listing of the requirements that I will be looking at when you upload your file on this page. Please make sure you name your files appropriately following the directions given to you. And don't be afraid to ask for help if you have any questions whatsoever. Don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. That's why I'm here. If it's been a while since you've had Accounting 100, don't hesitate to pull out an old text or again use those handouts that I just showed you on my regular website. If you have a specific question for me, go ahead and email me at the email address that you see on the slide, and also it's all over the Canvas website. Come by and see me during my office hours in BE 104I. Come to any of the labs. They are numerous, and those are also posted on my website. And remember that I'm here to help you succeed. If you would prefer to seek out help from your classmates, remember that there is a discussion board post for general questions. From Canvas, you can go to the discussions link. And you'll see that under, I believe it's on the pinned discussions, here it is, there are general questions from students. So feel free to post a question to your classmates there. I would expect you guys to help out each other and respond to each other. And again, if you have a specific question for me, please email me directly or use the Canvas inbox. So once again, I'm excited to get started. I look forward to helping you, and remember that I'm just a click away or an email away or a discussion post away. Don't sit there and bang your head against the wall. If you have a question, there's others in the class that have the same question, so feel free to ask your classmates or to ask me. So before I close, I want to take a look at the bullet points one more time. These are the categories of the directions that you'll read about step by step. And don't forget to upload your Excel file through Canvas to me. And also don't forget you have a discussion board post due with this assignment. As a final reminder, if you need help, all you have to do is ask. Keep calm. Help is available. You just need to seek it out. And if there's any questions whatsoever, please contact me.